let's get going. So, guys, I shared in the chat the link to our meeting minutes, which I think we've only really kept like once. And we should try to do that a bit better. Hey, Gunjan.
Hi, sir.
Hey. All right. So I'm sharing the meeting minutes, although I shared the wrong screen again. So let me stop sharing. Okay, guys. So here's our meeting minutes doc. I put a link to it in the Slack. What is today? The 6th? Yep. All right, good. It's kind of nice sometimes to have a smaller group because then we can talk about stuff in depth. So as is customary for this call, I'll ask who's got something to talk about? Who's got an issue that they're working through they want to chat about? While you guys are coming up with that, I will say this. Check out my shirt. Oh yeah. We'll have to do a 2020 Google Summer of Code. So.
Nice.
Yeah.
Looking good on you.
Oh yeah. We'll have to get you guys in there. Some of you will have graduated, but that may not. Well, it doesn't have to. I don't know. We'll see how that works when we get there. We'll figure out a way. Nice. So Garish is dropping and coming back. He's got some connectivity issues, but Nikhil, you joined first, I guess. Do you wanna go start?
So currently I'm not working on any issue. I was recently assigned to one regarding merging two files. That is the outcluster config and the mesh config files.
Oh.
So that there is no duplicate codes. Because both of the file contains maximum similar lines of code. So G assigned me that issue to merge them.
Okay.
So actually I had to ask him only that how to merge. He referred me a file name, Grafana config, but I didn't got from that file that how to merge both of the file. So that when we refer to that in the cluster part, it works correctly.
Huh. Okay. So this is the issue that you're referring to, right, Nikhil?
Yes.
Okay. Garish, if your audio is working, I think a little bit of discussion here might help Nikhil as he goes to finish it off. Garish, does your audio work? I don't even think he can hear us. Garish, can you hear us? Nah, I don't think he can.
Yeah, I don't think so.
No. Okay. Okay, I'm just texting him to make suggestions, but Garish, any luck with the headphones now? I think if he was having luck, he would smile. Although I'm not sure. All right, Garish, you there? Nope. Okay. Moving on. So Nikhil, I guess hold that thought for a minute until Garish is online. Garish, you can't hear us? right? Okay. Okay, so Girish said he's going to reboot. Very good. Nikhil, I think just because I haven't been part of this issue, I'm not even sure what's being asked for here. Mesh config component JS, mesh out of cluster. Okay. Oh, I see. This is for the interface in Meshery, the settings page that you've been working on?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you end up, were you able to manipulate the page such that it was a bit more,
Responsive.
yeah.
So actually, I was trying to, but it wasn't properly fixing because the only issue was coming with the left part, which shows the current configuration details. It wasn't getting much responsive, so I'm trying on that side. It will soon become responsive.
Okay. 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 So Nikhil, if we get through the rest of the guys, let's come back to you on maybe a different issue.
Yes, sir, sure.
Very good. Subham, I think you were maybe up next.
Yeah, I was working on this issue. Actually, I assigned myself.
Okay.
And about this one, I think I have submitted a PR and it is open also. I don't know why. And about this issue, you told me to ask. I think. Surya sir for the details of Rega football. So he didn't reply me or don't know why. So I think I should unassign myself or something like that. And that's it. So these two issues I was looking for. And one more issue in Meshery.
So, Subham, on the first issue, were you talking about network service mesh in the landscape?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, that was a good. I mean, I ended up merging the PR because the things that you put in there were accurate. It wasn't complete because we don't have all the details, but it was accurate because they were question marks. So this is good to get it going and start. And yeah, the two guys, Frederick and Ed, should be relatively responsive. I mean, we're actually presenting at NSMCon in a week and a half, and so they should. I've talked to them in the past. They should be responsive. I've talked to them in the past. Are you engaging them on GitHub? Are you engaging them in Slack?
I'm engaging them with in the Slack. Actually.
Okay, and that's in the layer 5 Slack.
Yeah, layer 5.
Cool. Okay.
Actually, previously I thought I was sharing my screen. That's why I said like the issue, this issue or that issue.
Yeah. Yep.
My bad.
No, that happens to me about every other time. I figured that was what was happening to you. Well then, okay, so that's that. So we'll keep our fingers crossed that they come back. I think that they're friends of Meshery. They're friends of Layer 5, so to speak. So I think they mean well. And I think the issue really for, so actually let me go back and share just for context for everyone. So the issue that Nikhil is working on is with respect to the landscape here, and this is good, by the way. I mean, so everyone, all of you guys know that there's about 3 projects that Layer 5 has going on. So one of them is this landscape, and right now it's a collection of info, but it's not very opinionated. And it actually, in order for it to be useful and valuable and talked about, it needs to be opinionated. And when we do that, we'll run the risk of upsetting folks, but that's just how that needs to go. Otherwise, it's not that useful. So the more data that we have in here, the more interesting it can be made. So that's one project. The other project is clearly Meshery. The third project is a service mesh performance benchmark. It's a spec. And if you go to the Meshery page, you go down to kind of the bottom, it talks about this benchmark specification. This benchmark specification is here. It's in the Meshery, it's in the layer 5 repo. And it's really just a YAML. I'm going to talk about this in the community call coming up, but this YAML, we're considering forming a new Linux Foundation project focused on this. So for those of you who might be unfamiliar with that concept, if you go to, I think it's linuxfoundation.org, the Linux Foundation is the overarching group that has sub-projects like the CNCF, like, well, they have all kinds of projects.
Actually, sir, I want to talk something about the landscape.
Yeah.
Can I share my screen?
Yeah, please.
Okay. Okay, yeah. Is it visible?
Yes. It's coming.
Okay. It is category page. Some of the entries are twice, like they refer to the same page. I think maybe this page and this page. Yeah, these two page. Okay. My bad. I think I mentioned in the GitHub page that some of the category in this page refers to the same link or the duplicate entries there.
Yeah, it's a good call out. If you go back to the landscape for just a moment.
Oh, okay.
So on the landscape, there are a couple of categories of technologies. And actually, Subham, if you navigate your tab back to the service mesh landscape, okay, so we have 5 categories. We have a service mesh category, a client library, API gateway, service proxy, load balancer. There are some of the projects are capable in more ways than one. And one of those that we're seeing was a late addition. It was the Citrix ADC. It's listed under service proxy, and it's also listed under load balancer, and it's also listed under API gateway. And the nuance there is the service proxy is the Citrix ADC CPX. Okay, so that's one product. Under API gateway, it's the ADC, and under load balancer, it's the ADC. It is technically accurate, or like that Citrix has a long-standing code base of that they primarily use for like load balancing is sort of why it was originally created, and they release the product in many form factors, if you will. They release it so you can install it on a bare metal machine. They release it as a VM. They release it as a container. And they also sell it as an appliance. They like sell a hardware appliance. So they have like a bunch of, and so that's why, and as such, they've been around for a long time. They end up spanning a couple of categories. So in the case of Citrix ADC, I think it's okay that they're listed a couple of times. Ideally, to your point, it would be slightly changed. It would be Citrix ADC CPX. That's great. Instead of having the API gateway and the load balancer exactly the same, if for nothing else, to your point, the links that they refer to should be different. And ideally, the name is slightly different. The guy, a distinguished engineer from Citrix, had filled that in, so I got to trust that he's like pointing us in the right direction. But it may be the case that we do need to update. There are some things here. We're actually missing a number of things, like under client library. There are more client libraries than just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are more than that. And we need to, you guys can actually search for them and find what those are. Ask the other projects to come and list themselves here. Garish, I think your microphone is working now, hopefully. Off the top of your head, do you recall any other client libraries?
There definitely are quite a bit. And yeah, no, I cannot think of anything like off the top of my head. But definitely, I'll send some probably Shubham's way so he can actually update this one.
Yeah, because there's a few, and so Shubham, ideally what we're doing is not necessarily populating the landscape directly ourselves, but what we're doing is reaching out to those other projects and asking them to come contribute, come represent themselves on the landscape so that they can own their own representation. So what you would do is create an issue in the layer 5 repo and tag a couple of their users, a couple of their maintainers. Also go over to their repo, create an issue in their repo, basically the same thing, asking them to come contribute and represent themselves. You can take some of the same language from prior issues that have been closed. You can see that there's kind of a common description, common way of us asking them. That seems to work pretty well. The latest addition there is GoKit under client library. That team just added themselves this week. And so, yeah, so generally we try to get them to come and update. So the load balancers too, like there's more than that. Actually, traffic is not represented, and that team, ironically has already represented themselves on in the landscape. They have a project called Mesh, and from it, the team is contain US. But we need for them to represent traffic. And I'm putting it into the chat, so hopefully you're seeing it there. Yeah, if you could track them down, that would be great. They're already familiar with us. I've got another.
Okay.
Cool, very good. So I've got one more challenge on this. This is where the landscape actually starts to get really interesting. There was a Hacktoberfest contributor whom you guys might remember. He lives in Canada. A younger guy, very nice. He wrote up a couple of blogs about his experience in contributing, and in our Slack channel, I had spoken with him about taking this landscape to the next step, the next big step. And I had given an idea as to what that should look like. Before I did, Shubham, do you want to, there's a new visualization to try here. I'm wondering if you might want to take a shot at it. If so, I can give you that information. So you can try it. I'm looking for the links.
I will slowly try.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. Well, there's a bit of creativity that you can bring to bear. Here we go. I've got the link, so I'm going to put it in our chat here, and then I'm also going to try to put it into our meeting minutes. So very good. Okay. I think that one, if you actually work on that one, Subham, that will be all engaging. I mean, it'll be a good one. You'll learn a couple of things. Okay.
Okay, I will link it. And so one more issue. I was going through. Okay, I was looking to this issue, and it looks interesting to me, but I don't know for where I should start. Actually, I don't know which file should I edit, because in this file I didn't find anything related which I can edit or something.
Whoops, I wasn't watching. Girish, did you see? Oh, yeah. So the deal there is that we're not giving the user a very good error message. It's like we sort of tell them, you tried to run a load test and it didn't work. And then we say, here's some additional helpful text. And it just says error, unable to test. It's like, well, we're kind of being redundant, just saying the same thing twice. So the request is to, wait. So that issue, the request is to just improve the error, like better language about the fact that, hey, we're unable to perform the test. In this case, it was because the HTTP code that was received back was a 301, which is a redirect. We would ideally parse that out and say, hey, you need to actually go to this address, this redirect address. And then that last bit where I said evaluate. Oh, okay. So Subham, if I'm sorry, if you go back to the issue, and on that issue, the very last comment that I made, I'm kind of mixing up two things in one. I'm at the issue that is created says, please improve the error message so that people have an understanding of what's going on and they can know, so that they can know, oh, I shouldn't have typed in just google.com. I should have typed in www.google.com so that they can have a better user experience and they can. That's what the issue is about. I commented 8 days later saying, well, actually, not only could we improve the error message, but we could actually handle the redirect. Because in this case, we don't have to error out. We know that that URL that they're trying to test load against, it actually needs to be a different URL. And so on the user's behalf, we could just put that URL in, the redirected one, and test the redirect. So I'm kind of mixing up two things. I mean, if you want to, you can split it out into a new issue. One is about improving an error message, and the other one is about changing how it is that we're using Fort.io and changing the Fort.io configuration. That last link, it's the line number 34. If you click on that, this is the Fort.io configuration. And what we've done is that if statement, it says if false, which means right now that set of code will always evaluate to false. We have not configured Fort.io to follow redirects. And that's actually what's happening in that issue. So if we were to enable follow redirects, we might be able to eliminate that error altogether. Hopefully that makes sense. Cool. Cool, okay. So there's no small amount of work on Sublim's plate then. All right, very good, very good. So Gunjan, Ashish, and Anand. Who's next? Also, while those guys are coming up, Garish, Nikhil had a quick question about the merger, the deduplication of code between the two JavaScript files inside the, and so.
Hey, Nikhil, do you want to?
Yeah, maybe we'll just knock that out real quick while Gunjan, while the other guys get ready.
Yeah, so actually you referred one file in the issue, but I looked at the file, but I didn't get how to merge those two files. So that when we switch the tabs, it referred to that section of the code.
So, one of the files which I can point you to is actually the Grafana custom charts, I think. So one of the things that charts file does is that, like, based on the properties that are given to, when you load the Reactor component, so there are definitely some custom logic, like, depending on where the component is used, it will actually behave differently. So I will, I'll try to give you some concrete examples, like, so that you can actually have a look at them, and that might give you some ideas. Because essentially, the two files you have, like, have very little changes. Most of the code, like, is very identical. So I'm pretty sure, like, you'll be able to add, like, a very simple logic which will say, okay, if this property is present, then render this versus that. That's all we need, like, pretty much. So that will actually prevent a lot of a duplication of code. So essentially deduplication. So I'll see if I can send you some concrete examples, like, so hopefully, like, you can actually start your work right after this call.
Okay, got it.
All right, who's next?
Hello, sir.
Anand.
I don't have a good bandwidth today, so I won't be able to share my screen, but I can share the issue that I'm working on right now is just a second. Is about the mesheryctl version. Was commit the last committed the SHA.
Ooh, yeah, you were not kidding, Anand, when you said that your bandwidth was not great. I only caught like 5 words. I did hear you say you're working on mesheryctl version. Beautiful. I wonder, now that I think of it, like where the best place to retrieve that version is. And it would be something that would ideally be baked into, rather, I'm phrasing it wrong. Like, it's not that you would go retrieve the version from somewhere else. The version number would be baked into the binary itself at build time. And that is something that Go releaser is aware of. And so, Garish, what do you think the approach there is? Is that as Go releaser goes to build mesheryctl and it has, that version number in memory, how easy is that to reference and just, include in the build?
So if you go back to the issue, I think I'm pretty much sure that like I have included a link to the Go releaser doc. Even have example there. Like all we need to do is just follow that. It's as simple as like I think using the LD path flags during build, which will actually right there. Like I mean, that's exactly like a snapshot. It is like from Go releaser's page. So that's pretty much like what we need. As long as like so we have to update the Go releaser YAML to include this in the Go releaser YAML. And have support the Meshery CTL's code. It should take care of itself.
Cool. And Anand, you may or may not have been asking that question. I just we couldn't hear what you were saying. That's all. Okay, and so Anand is saying he's not able to run Go releaser on his local machine in order to test it out.
Anand, you know what? Like, reach out to me, and we can probably work on a separate repo. So that'll be that'll make your life a lot easier. You don't have to have it running on your local. You can just rely on GitHub to actually help us with it.
So can we empower him on this call since we have?
I'm sure. I would say go and create a clone of like Meshery. I created the other repo like a few hours back. So otherwise, I would have pointed him to the L5 Act or whatever that is. Yeah, I just removed it. But interestingly, there is this other one, the L5 SEM Act. You can try there. There is also a Go releaser YAML right there, like a .go releaser.yaml. So all Anand has to do is like update the .go releaser.yaml with the sample which I've pasted in the issue, and then update the code in that repo, and he can give it a try. I mean, it should be as simple as that. Or Anand, feel free to ping me, and I can help you with that.
Nice. So Anand, outside of Meshery CTL version, were there other items that you wanted to chat through? Okay. Oh yeah. So Anand, I know that there were a couple of changes requested to your pull request on swapping out the bash script for Meshery CTL. Are you still working on further changes, or do you consider that this is ready for review again? Okay. So Girish looks like he's saying it's ready for review again. So,
Cool. All right, I'll give this a try. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, well, that's exciting. Yeah, that'll be that man. That's such a long issue coming. So that's nice. There's been another guys since on a related note here. There's a this should work on both Linux and Mac. We just got done landing. Oh, the creation of a homebrew tap for Meshery CTL. It's funny. I guess we didn't close the. Anyway, so actually, this would be something for all of you guys to try right now. This would be a good test of whether or not it's working. I'll put this URL into our meeting minutes. So what each of you can do, if you're on Linux or Mac, is if you've got homebrew installed, then you'll simply just execute these two commands, and this will install mesheryctl on your Mac or on your Linux machine. So really, so this is great because this will be convenient. This will be one of the ways that people can install mesheryctl. One of the other ways that they can install mesheryctl is the way that Anand is working on right now. And that way kind of falls into the published method that we have on the website, which is, what Anand is working on is really similar to what we see here. It'd be a slight change, but it's about executing a bash script. So good. So hopefully everyone can give that a test. Give it a test. Give it a test. I don't think.
Yeah, I tested it on Mac and it works. I'm going to try it on Linux. So hopefully, like, we can close the issue during this call.
Oh, cool. Thank you. Okay. Maybe Gunjan, do you want to go next?
Yes, yes. Sir, right now I'm not working on any project. Actually, I'm little bit sick, so I also working on a social icon button project issue. So I think I'll solve the issue quickly.
Okay. Okay. And so in that case, Gunjan, are you all filled up, or do you need another issue to bite off?
Yeah, yes, sir. Please assign me another issue.
Okay.
And I'll try to solve that issue quickly.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, let me ask each of you this. Okay. Good. Supram's back. This is a big issue, but it plagues the success of the project, and that is that we don't have a dedicated meshery.io site. This page it's okay. It's not bad. But it could be a lot better, and it could be its own site. Whether or not any of you directly try to help create a new site or not, I guess I do have an ask, and that is whether or not any of you guys know folks that are, I think, outside of Nikhil, and maybe Nikhil, maybe this is what we would want to, maybe the next big thing for you to focus on, but outside of Nikhil, anyone who's something of a web designer, anyone who's fairly front-end savvy, because we do need to build out meshery.io, a site behind that domain. Do you guys know any front-end developers? Like, yeah, Madhab is there. Yeah, that's a good point, Subham. I appreciate what Madhab has done. Although I'm wondering if you guys know any other folks as well. I think maybe on that subject, Subham, yeah, go ahead, Gunjan.
Yeah, sir.
Oh,
Sir, I'm not that much comfortable with web developing, web page designing.
okay, yeah, right. Let me ask you, well, on a related subject, Subham, let me ask you this. I think it was Professor Das. We might have gotten his email address wrong before.
Yeah, I talked with him, and I have forwarded the same email. And he said that he will be busy till 17th or 18th, something. After that, he will respond. Actually, he's busy in some papers or something.
Okay, got it. Is there any other professor that would be good to engage with to help? I don't know, to help partner up. Okay. Yeah, just let us know if so. Okay, I may try reaching out to just some of the staff at the school, not necessarily the faculty, but some of the other staff to see if the school itself is interested. I think that one, hopefully, like I said before, partnering up can help get you guys more recognition, more credit, more support, etc. Maybe a room set aside to meet in at certain hours or whatever that is, all kinds of things. But also, to be able to, at some point, if we get enough people, then you guys will be able to be stewards of the community and be ambassadors and help others grow and and Ashish has, I think, jumped in and been trying to help a couple of people who've sort of dropped by the repository and they've asked to help on things. And Ashish, thanks a bunch for jumping in, trying to help explain things to them and kind of welcoming them to the community. It feels really good to them. And hopefully you guys have seen a few different times where people have joined and they say, yeah, I wasn't really planning to do much here, but I got sort of sucked in, like that they really enjoyed being welcomed so warmly. So anytime that you guys see anyone join, go over and, give them a little emoji, give them a little welcome or something. It feels good. That it'll open them up and they'll be able to help us more. They'll be able to, like Nuno is a good example, right? It's nice that he's here because he's got a Windows focus and most of the rest of us don't. And so that's really helped Nikhil and Anand as they worked on issues. So just the more people that are here, the better. There's a guy who just joined. His name's Srijith. I'm sorry, Srijith. He is actually the. This is his handle in Slack. He's from Citrix. Actually, he's the tech writer for the Citrix ADC CPX, for the Citrix like ingress controller and some of the things that they're doing with Istio. So Subham actually, is speaking of your questions about categorization of Citrix ADC and things. That guy Srijith, he's the right guy to go ask. Like, hey, is this categorized correctly? Can you weigh in on the landscape? And he just joined like a day ago in Slack. So go welcome him. Go do it. Got it. And then Subham, I hear what you're saying about Professor Das, just that he's interested but is tied up at the moment. But yeah, and that's fine. No problem. No hard feelings, so to speak. I'm sure he'll respond at some point. But yeah, getting other staff and other faculty engaged would be good because then we'll get more support for you guys. So some of that support is things like, I don't know, get a room set aside, get some pizza there, get like help support you guys as you're learning. Like, there's things that could be done. They might be able to help you form a community, a group, a college group, if you will, a study group on Go, whatever that is, a study group on React to help you guys, something that you guys can then write down on your resume saying, yeah, hey, here's the things that you accomplished in university. Over and above your grades, you also, created a group and led the group and that kind of a thing. So that's why I want to get a bunch of, whoever we can involved at the university. So. Okay, so I think Ashish just left, unfortunately, but if he's there with you, Gunjan, if Ashish is there, we can hear from him. That would be good.
While we're waiting for Ashish, the other issue I have tested on both Linux and Mac. It works well on both. The only caveat is on a Linux machine, I had to use sudo to install. On a Mac, I didn't have to. So that's the only caveat. But other than that, like, it works. I just approved it, so we should be good to merge.
Nice. Okay. Oh, that's good. Good. Yeah, that's interesting. Did you have to run sudo to add the tap or sudo to do the brew install?
No, not the brew. The one which Anand was working on. The script, which.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's the one I was talking about, the bash script. Yes, exactly. So it works without a requirement for sudo on the Mac, but on Linux, I tried as a normal user, so I had to use sudo because it failed when it couldn't move the script to user local bin. So, but then when I use sudo, it just worked. Yeah.
Okay. Got it. Okay. And by the way, guys, as I'm editing these, feel free to edit them to the meeting minutes. Okay, and Anand was saying you've got a couple of thoughts about the Windows support. So as we cannot use the bash script to download mesheryctl on Windows, we can have another block of code, like a PowerShell or something else, to download onto Windows and run mesheryctl exe. Yeah, the Anand, great thought. We do need a set of instructions for Windows users. Could be a bash script, or I'm sorry, not a bash script. Could be like a PowerShell script. Could be just simply a set of instructions, like navigate to the releases folder on GitHub, download the latest Windows mesheryctl.exe. After you download it, unzip it, move mesheryctl.exe to your path, like add it to your path. And it could just be instructions, or it could be both, a script as well. So eventually the documentation site under installation here, I'm trying to bring it to the site. As someone goes and they hit the installation guide, right now what they're presented is not necessarily something that's a quick start. It's sort of like, well, check to make sure that you've got a compatible platform, and that's fine. And then we say, what is mesheryctl? And it's like, well, that's a good thing to answer, but is not necessary. Like, the steps here should be more like, make sure you've got a compatible platform. If you do, install mesheryctl. What is mesheryctl? This. How do you install it? Like, yeah, we need Windows. We need Windows instructions, potentially a Windows friendly script. At some point, we would probably deprecate the Meshery bash script and just probably look to no longer support it, so that we're not bothered with old issues, stale issues.
So actually, I had just a doubt. I was assigned there was an issue regarding the edit this page link for the docs page, but before before that was told that the docs page was not opening, but then the theme got updated, so the link is already there to update the page. So I think we can close that issue.
Shoot. I was trying to multitask, Nikhil. You were saying, hey, on the docs page, there was an issue that is still open, but we should probably close.
Yeah, so the edit this page link.
Oh,
there's an issue regarding that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I was assigned that, but the docs theme got updated, and after that I saw it, so it was already there.
Yeah,
so
totally.
I think that issue.
Very good. Actually, that brings up a great point. So, Nikhil, I totally agree. I think that link works now, and we're good. That brings up a good point that each of you as contributors have triage permission. You each have triage permission on the issues, meaning that A, you can open issues. B, you should be able to manipulate labels that are assigned. C, you should be able to assign yourself or assign other people if you want, like update the. So you should be able to edit and do a lot of things with issues. So Nikhil, yeah, thumbs up if you want to. You should have the permission to close it out and take care of it. So that sounds great.
Actually, sir, because that thing I didn't get it, so I had a question that if that is resolved. Yeah, that's it.
Oh, I see. Yep. No, got it. I mean, yeah. Just because you have the permission doesn't always mean that you should go do the thing. You should talk about it like you just did. That's perfect. Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. What else?
Hello, sir.
Hey, Ashish.
Yes, so actually I'm having some problem with my internet, so I'm using Gunjan's laptop. So I have an issue to talk.
Okay, all right.
So I fixed small issues like, sir, there was small change inside the Meshery docs, as well as I fixed the logo in Meshery console.
Oh yeah.
Sir, as well as there was one more issue which was in Meshery Kuma, where the Meshery Kuma install Kuma Go, the Meshery build was failing, sir. So, sir, I actually fixed that issue, but after build check, I was getting several 4 to 5 issues in different file. So, but when I directly went to that particular file and just wanted to correct it, so it was already corrected. So, how can I fix that issue?
Okay, so maybe we'll take a look at I think this particular PR is the one that you're.
Yeah, yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And so in here, you ended up working on install kuma.go,
Yes, sir.
getting the correct reference to the client, which I think is right. As we look at the, well, this is weird. I guess maybe since I'm not signed in, I can't see the status of. So here, the build is still failing, but it's okay. So last time, so this failed 7 days ago. One thing that that would be interesting to see if any of you can do on that pull request where it's failing. If you're thinking, hey, it's failing, but it shouldn't be. and you want to rerun the build, rerun this test, do you guys see this right here? Rerun checks. Because if you do, you can kick off the build again. You can kick off the GitHub action again. Another way of doing that is by going to the Actions tab, and hopefully you can, well, I guess maybe you can't do it from here, but you can go in and kick off the build. So
but in my site, this rerun check tab is not showing.
it doesn't show.
No, sir.
Okay, let me take a note to see if we can get you guys the ability to rerun builds, because that only makes sense to me that you could. So that's one thing, and then and then since you don't see it, that's kind of an issue. Let me kick it off again right now to see if the build had failed because it was checking an older version of code, and then you remerged, and maybe it works, right? Maybe we're good. So that'll take a few minutes, and while that's going, you mentioned a couple of other issues. The one that I think is that are up for review. You got the new logo.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you got the new logo in, which I'm hopeful for.
It was in Meshery console.
Oh, I see. Oh, okay. Oh, I see. For this right here. Okay, perfect. Yeah, beautiful. Okay, very good. That'll be a quick. I'm sure that'll be. And then there was another one. I think that there are a couple that you guys have on layer 5 that I need to go back and dissect because they ended up being about OpenShift Maestra, like OpenShift's fork of Istio, and so I've got I need to come back and take care of this. Part of my part of my hesitancy, Subham, with Madhab is that with respect to front end is he was just kind of missing the mark, and it was, I think, between him missing the mark and then him sort of not showing up for a while, that it was more work than it was help. But actually, so yeah. Anyway, on a related note, and maybe this is the last thing, and I'll let you guys go. Is it was either Gunjan or Ashish. One of you guys had recently helped update the footer in the new docs site, and you got really close. I think we were just missing the color, and I wanted to make sure that made sense. What I was asking for. Yeah, here. So it was Gunjan. Gunjan, when I build the site based on this change, you're close, but I think they all showed up as blue. So when we look at it, so right now this is how they look, and they're okay. They're not very good color. What I was hoping is that they would work a bit more like this, where they get colorized as you hover. And I think in the PR that you have, they end up all being blue. So Can you take another look? I think you're close, but not quite there.
Okay, sir. I'm trying to fix it. Hope I will fix it quickly.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. No, that's great. Okay. So we're just a little bit over. Anybody have anything else they want to chat through?
Hello, sir.
Yep. Gunjan.
Sir, hello.
Yep.
Sir, actually, I addressed Sir Tanmay Kumar as well as Raghav. So, sir, he said that actually he's going through the different code used in this particular project, and after that they understand it, they will surely contribute.
Oh, nice. Wait, say the names again. One was Kedar.
So one was Tanmay Kumar.
Uh-huh.
So his name is pseudonode in GitHub, and so one more was Raghav Agarwal.
Okay. Yeah, very good. Yeah, the pseudo nerd Tanmay, he made a couple of contributions. I think it looked like he was getting some traction, but so you're saying he's busy for a little while, but wants to come back and so okay. That's great. And then I say the other name again for me. I missed it.
So Raghav Agarwal.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm hoping that. Yeah, he just. Yeah, we were. I don't. Yeah, I think he was saying he wasn't able to make it today, but I think he's gonna try to join the community call. I think we're gonna try to chat with him just before the community call, just to get him introduced around. But if you guys, it would be really helpful. Thank you for talking to them. It's really helpful that you're in the same time zone, that you guys might speak the same dialect, that you guys can communicate a bit more easily.
Yeah,
do you know either Tanmay or Raghav previously, or are you just meeting them now?
So now.
Okay. Yeah, keep it up, Gunjan. That really helps, man. Keep.
I'm Ashish, sir.
Oh, Ashish. I'm sorry. I'm looking at Gunjan's face. Yeah.
Actually, my network is not working, so I'm using Gunjan's laptop.
Okay. Yeah, that makes perfect sense, because that's what I was saying earlier, is that Ashish was doing that you were doing just that with some people, and it's very helpful. So yeah, thank you for that. That's good. And you've been pointing him to the newcomers welcome guide. That's perfect.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's one thing you guys might want to think about doing. I don't know if you is. A lot of times someone like Tanmay or Raghav, they are excited to contribute to an open source project. They're looking forward to it, but they're not quite sure what Meshery is. And if any of you were to make a recording, like talking about a particular thing or something, we can get that posted so that you can point them to that, so that it's easy for you to just say, well, hey, watch this. And that way it's easy for them to understand more quickly.
Sure, sir.
So actually, just had a clarification. Is the meeting timings changed for a while, or it's permanent?
You guys tell me. So I think we can bump it back to 7:30 p.m. your time, if that's more helpful. Yeah.
In both the ways, I don't have a problem. I don't know about others.
So Subham, you're okay with 8:30? It sounds like. Okay, either way will work for Subham. Does anyone? And Anand is good at 8:30. Anyone have a particular preference? Like, is it? I want to make sure that we're trying to accommodate you guys. I mean, that's why we're having this call, actually, is to accommodate you guys with the time. So. Okay. So maybe we'll stick with the 8:30 time and see how that goes, but don't hesitate to suggest a different time, or And really, for any of you guys, don't hesitate to say, hey, can we have a one-off meeting, or can I just chat, like talk to one of you guys? You don't have to wait till Wednesday, I guess is what I'm saying. So don't hesitate. But okay, I think the only thing maybe I didn't call out was yeah, Anand, for the, if you would open an issue for the Windows one. As a matter of fact, guys, I want to encourage you, when you, if you see something wrong, or you don't think something is working well, or like open up an issue, or many of you are already taking issues. You'll find one that's interesting that you think you can do, and you take it, do it. Like, it's not a, you can't go wrong. Like, if the issue that you open, we consider that we shouldn't do, then we'll just close it. Or, you know, like, it's not a, or if you try to take one on and later on you figure out it's too hard and you can't do it, that's no problem. Like, hey, you know, we'll unassign yourself or what have you. Like, it's, we're okay. But I would encourage you to just, yeah, I've been, in the past, we talked about kind of governance of the projects, and getting you guys more toward a maintainer status, like at some point, like if that, and it's going to take a little while, but that's my goal for you guys, is to be, the folks that came through for Hacktoberfest, that was awesome. I loved that people came by, and it was great, but they just kind of came by the project and, you know, dropped something and then went away. I'm hoping that as you guys stick around and invest in the project, that really pays off, that you really do learn a whole bunch more than just Go, that at some point you're feeling pretty competent with Istio or with any of them because you've been spending so much time with them. So anyway, just encouraging you to open up issues and things. So. All right, very good. Well, we're totally after time. Same time next week, and then plus we'll see you guys. We'll see you guys in a couple of days. See you on Friday.
See you, sir.
All right. Oh, one thing too. I think so. This happened. I think I said this happened. I know you guys have seen this, but I just got some extra copies, and so I'm wondering if maybe anyone would maybe like a copy. So I'm trying to do what I can to make sure you guys are getting rewarded for what you're doing. So I'm assuming that everyone would like one, and so I'm going to try to work on making sure you guys get one. So, oh yeah. Cool. Okay. Talk to you guys on Friday.
Yes. Bye, sir.
Okay. Bye, guys. Bye.
Bye, sir.
Bye.